Hello guys, and welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel. So guys, in today's video we're going to be learning how to cut this structured sleeve blouse with built-up neckline. So guys, that's what we are going to learn how to do today. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use of, and that is my lining. So I have 6 yards of fabric. So at the end of the day I'm going to use like 2.5 yards, I think. Yeah, so these are my pattern papers. I have some lines already marked on my pattern paper. So the first line, that's my shoulder line, my bust point line, my under bust, my waist, and then the full length of the blouse. So these are all of the lines marked out there. So we are going to start drafting now. It is a simple process. So my bust point is 10.5, under bust 13.5, my waist is 17, and then the full length. Okay, so these are the measurements that I'm going to be making use of. I'm putting them down so you can also see them on the screen. Okay, so now the first thing we're going to do, we're going to divide our shoulder measurement into two and then place it on that line. So my shoulder is 14, divided by 2, that's 7, and then I added 1 inch and then came down by 1 inch for our shoulder slope. Okay, so after that, from that point I'm just going to mark that line, just float that into the shoulder line, and then from there I'm going to come down by 7.5 inches, which I am using as my armhole, round armhole circumference. So I'll just mark it this way, and then the next thing I will give this a mark. So mind you, I am drafting the back bodies first. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now, I want to start imputing all of my measurements. So my bust, that is 36, I'll divide 36 into 4. I'm going to add the measurement and then add 1 inch that I'm going to use for my back dart, and then add 2.5 inches for my stitching allowance. Okay, and then I'll come to the under bust measurement or under bust line. I'll mark my under bust measurement 30, divide by 4, and then I'll add 1 inch and then add the stitching allowance. I'll come to my waist, which is 34, divide by 4. I'll place the measurement on that line that way. So at this point I wonder why I was trying to fold my tape. So I'll just mark that and then I'll add my stitching allowance and then mark my dart first and then add the stitching allowance, and then I'll come to the hem and then I'll mark my measurement, divide by 4, add my stitching allowance, and then all of these lines I'm going to connect all of them together to form our back body. So you can see when you connect all of them together, you will see the beauty of it. Okay, so this is our back bodies. The next thing I am going to do now, I want to take out my dart. So for the dart I'll use my bust span circumference, which is 4. I'll just mark 4 across all of the lines. So you can see as I'm marking them across all of the lines. So when I'm done, I'll use my straight ruler to connect it. I'll just mark it straight. Okay, and then I'll come to the waistline. I'll take half of an inch to the right and then half of an inch to the left, and then I would connect it. So that will be my dart intake for the back piece. That's for my back bodies. Okay, so I'll just connect them. So at this point I'm just trying to blend them into my pattern so you can see. So the next thing that I am going to do now, I'm going to mark the neckline. You know, it's a built-up neckline. So what I'm going to do, I'll use 3 inches. Initially I used 3 inches, but I later reduced it while I was doing the front one. I later reduced it to 2.5. So I'll come down by 1 inch, and then that 1 inch also I reduced it to half of an inch. Okay, so you are going to still see it. So this is my back piece. So that chest line, that armhole line, I just extended it as my chest line so that I'll be able to cut out the yoke for the back piece. So like I said, since it's a built up neckline, so I want to I'll make it like a yoke before I attach it to it. Okay, so that's what I wanted to do. So this is my back piece. So I'll cut out now. So the next thing now, we're going to work on the front piece. So we have all of our lines again on our front piece, our measurements. I'm just trying to put all of the measurements down, okay, just like I did with the front, with the back piece now. And then I have all of my lines. That's my bust line, my under bust, my waist, and then the full length of the blouse. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're just going to almost go through the same process of drafting the back piece. You divide your shoulder measurement into four, you add allowance and then come down by 1 inch and then create a shoulder slope this way. And then I'm going to mark half of my armhole measurement. I'll come down. So mind you, to get your half of your armhole measurement, you can divide your bust circumference by 6 and then add 1.5, so that you can see mine. So that line, I marked it, the armhole measurement, I called it my chest line. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to come in, our front armhole, you come in by 1/4 of an inch. So that's what I'm trying to do, and then create my curve. Okay, so after that, the next thing I'm going to do now, I want to create out the bust here. So we're using our bust pan, which is our nipple to nipple. So I'm using the same four. The full measurement is 8, so you divide that into 2. So I'll mark that 4 across all of the lines. So when I'm done marking it across all of the lines, I'm going to connect it with a straight ruler. So you can see I've connected it with a straight ruler. The next thing, I want to take out my dart. So for the dart, I'm using 3 inches dart, and then I'm going to divide that 3 inches into two parts, 1.5 on the right and then 1.5 on the left side. Okay, so you can decide to put two on one side and one on the other side. So it depends. Just do the one that works for you. Depends on the style. Okay, so that curve, that line that I marked, I'm going to curve that into the bust point line. You can see the way I'm using my pattern curve to create that curve. Let it go into that point that way. Okay, so after that, the next thing, I am going to mark this down. I'll just mark that straight that way, and then that's the dart legs. And then the next thing, I want to come up a little bit because I don't want it to be too, it's not a corset, so I'm just going to do 1 inch. So I'll just come up by 1 inch from that chest line, and then I'll connect it with my straight ruler because I want to tighten that part. Just extend that line. Okay, can you see? The next thing, I am going to come to this point. I'll take 0.75 to on the right and then 0.75 to the left because I am a not so much big bust, so that's okay. But if it's a big bar bust, I would use 1 inch. So you can see the next thing, I am coming down for my neckline, so the depth of the neckline. So to create that sweetheart look, I just came like half of an inch from my regular chest line. But before then, I remembered I had not highlighted my over bust. Okay, so yes, so the that you can see I've extended that, and then from that point I'm just going to create out that sweetheart neckline. So if you notice, it is not very deep. Of course, I don't want my cleavage to even show, so it depends on what you want. So you can make it as deep as you want, and then create the curve. The next thing I'm going to do now, I want to mark out my full body measurement. A bust of 36 divided by 4. Remember that over bust tightening, so I have about 1.5 inch there. I'll bring that back and then add my stitching allowance. Okay, so the next thing, I'll come to my under bust measurement. I'll divide my measurement into 4, add my 3 inches for my dart and then add my stitching allowance. I'll come to my waist measurement, also divide that by 4, add my dart and then add my stitching allowance. And then for the last part, I'll come to my blouse waist measurement, divide by 4, add my stitching allowance and then add my dart also. So when I am done with all of these lines, I am going to connect them with my ruler. So I'll just pick all of the points and then connect all of the points, just like basically join them together. So this is what I have. The next thing, we are going to come now to work on our neckline. Okay, so for the neckline, I am going to come to the top. I want to make use of a pencil first. So I'm going to come to this point. I'll mark my 3 inches. So I told you that initially I used 3 inches, but I later changed it to 2.5. I'll mark it at that point. So after marking at that point, I'll come to the chest area. I'll mark 2 inches. You understand? Because the yoke is going to sit on top. So I'll mark 2 inches. Depends on how wide you want it to be. Can you see the pattern curve I'm using for me to get that kind of Queen and kind of built up pattern neckline? So that is why you see I use that round part of my what do you call it, my pattern curve. So now the next thing, I'm going to take the back neckline. I want to place them together to make sure that they join. So I'll use my pencil to curve them. So I'm just trying to make sure that they align. Okay, so you can see, so it was at this point I later reduced it to 2.5. You can see the back. I'm trying to make it blend in with the front, with the edge of the front one. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do. So after that, after blending, I was just trying to blend it. And then for the back neckline, I used half of an inch now at this point. So you can see what I am trying to do. So I'm trying to just mark it, yes, so you can see. Just so I came up back. So that's just basically what I did. So you can see this is how it's going to look when you join them together. It's going to be high. So I'm going to, and so at this point I'm just trying to check to make sure that the curve, that it curves, it curves very well. Okay, yes. So please, if you find this video helpful, please do not forget to subscribe, like the video. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. I would appreciate that. Okay, so subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, your soul colleagues. Okay, so this, I'm just trying to blend it to make sure that it looks good before I start cutting anything out of it. So that's it. So it blend very well. So I'm just trying to double check. So that's where I confirm it is 2.5 inches, and then that one is like about half of an inch. So can you see? So blend everything together. So mind you, in the next video, that's when we're going to be sewing this dress. I did not want to rush it. Just let me take my time like this. So you can see that's the yoke. So I'm just cutting that part. So I did not separate it. I want to cut them on my fabric. So like I said, if you find this video helpful, please like the video. And if you have not subscribed, subscribe. You can register for my online classes. You can see my number on the screen. And then like I said, in our next tutorial, we're going to be learning how to, we'll do the stitching. Yes, so we'll do the stitching. So guys, so thank you so much. These are my fabric, these are everything. So for the gum stay, I ironed soft interfacing, soft gum stay, paper gum on my lining, and then iron hair stay on my fabric. So I'll see you guys in my next tutorial where we're going to be stitching. Thank you so much. Bye.